In 2009, I took my comedy show, the Air Sex Championships, on tour for the first time. After 7 years of touring, MTV wanted to turn my weird sex positive comedy show slash sporting event into a TV series. It was on that set in Brooklyn, New York, that I met today's guest, who is one of the most dynamic, hardworking people I have ever come across. Kitty Crystal is a former model and TV personality who now works behind the camera. 20 plus magazine covers, a ton of music videos, some reality TV, film, and she has famous McDonald's hands, y'all. Welcome to the show, Kitty Crystal.
Trew, how are you, buddy? I miss you so much. This pandemic has really shine light on how much I love people. And you're one of those people. So I'm really excited to share this virtual space with you. It's like a big virtual hug, and I'm so excited you're doing stuff, and hopefully you're doing well. I mean, you're doing a podcast, so you have to be doing well, right?
Yeah, no one in the history of podcasting has ever not been doing well. Everyone with a podcast is just,
crushing it.
They're all crushing it.
Crushing it.
Kitty, thank you for being a part of this new project. It's funny, I feel like I know you really well, but most of the time that we have logged together has been very project based. It's like, I have a show in New York. So it's like, Kitty, you want to come and be on this show? Or sometimes you just come and hung out and watch the show. But I know we keep talking to each other. You're a fascinating creature to me because you've done so much with yourself. Like, you're very your resume is just miles long, and
it's a lot. It's a lot of shit. It's a lot of stuff.
A lot of variety too. It's very diverse, right?
Yeah. I like to think of myself as a chameleon. Like, life's crazy, and I've made a lot of mistakes, and I've tried a lot of things that were like, ooh, I didn't really like that, or I wasn't really good at that, but I tried anyway. And you learn. And then I think the more different jobs that you do, the better you are at anything, because you relate to other people so much more. So now my work that I do behind the camera gives me the opportunity to really resonate with all the different departments. So I can understand their pain and frustration, and I can help make their jobs easier, which is great in a really stressful situation like we have now.
So I'm curious, what was first for you? Like, so you've dabbled with being in front of the camera, behind the camera, and all different types of cameras, still and motion cameras. And you've also like made a run, like specifically in the comedy space. And I don't know, it's so impressive how many different things you do, but also it feels like they all come with some joy and enthusiasm for what you're doing. So I want to know, what came first for you, and how did the first pivot is maybe an overused word right now, but like, what was the first time that you became like multi-hyphenated, I guess?
I think it all was kind of a fluke. I think a large part of my life has just been an accident. And almost everything that I've done in life has contributed to the fact that I'm just really nice. And I'm also really short. And so people are not intimidated by me. It's quite possible. So I'm constantly just like this small ball of positive energy, or I try to be. And I think every opportunity in my life if it's been professional, if it's been creative, if it's been romantic, anything has stemmed from the fact that I carried a moment of just inspiration, positivity, and like a passion for whatever I do. And my father was really hardworking. My parents were really hardworking, blue collar, paycheck to paycheck. We never took anything for granted. We were really dedicated and appreciative of everything that came our way. And that has resonated, and it's really helped me develop who I am in life, and then also all the different projects. So when I started this journey, I guess life in general, it all was just flukes. It was all just random coincidences, which is super not helpful advice for anyone.
But that's the way it goes sometimes. It's like people like stumble into things and you never know when the next opportunity is going to come. But what was what was your first dream?
So I originally wanted to be a fashion designer. The movie Pretty in Pink like resonated with me so much when I was a kid that I went to fashion design school. And my first job was at Lip Service making clothes for Hot Topic, which we'll just say a while ago, because I'm older than I would like to admit. I walked in the first day, I got a tour of the company, and I went, fuck, I don't want to do this.
And this is after school.
I hated it.
You went to all the
was
school.
Just like I went to school. I dumped $60,000 into it. It was not anything like I thought it was going to be. It was in downtown LA. I lived in Long Beach, California. It was like a 90-minute commute on a good day. Like it was just, let me get rid of that. Sorry. It was not what I had hoped it would be. And it was like me cutting patterns and sewing pant legs. And I was just like, this sucks. And so
a lot of people have like experiences like that it's like, how come no one told me this was going to be part of it?
Right. No one was like, you know what, you're going to be working a CAD machine doing dots on patterns, and then you're going to move the dots 1 inch, and that's going to go from a small to a medium, and then you're going to like that was never my dream as a child. And I thought that I was gonna like make clothes that were sustainable for the environment, and then I found out like everything's just garbage and it was all trash, and I was like, oh my god, like I'm not helping the planet, I'm not doing cool stuff. And then it just didn't work out, and that's not what I thought I was gonna do. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go off on my own and I'm gonna do freelance. And then that didn't work out. And
wait, well, Kitty, I want to say, right before we get to the next chapter, I want to say how I think it's really fascinating that you like sunk all this money and time and effort and just yourself, all this love into this thing. You got it wrong, quote unquote. You got it wrong, but then you were like, okay, what's the next thing? I got to do the next thing. And I just think many people are like, well, I can't go on to the next thing because I did all this. Like, have you ever heard, there's that study that happened where it was like a bunch of people, I might get the details wrong, but the point, it will be there. It's like a bunch of people were like, spent money to go on a vacation somewhere. It's like everyone spent like $1,000, and it was to go somewhere that they were like a 7 out of 10 on the excitement scale. And then those same people were offered a $500 trip that was a 10 out of 10, but it was the same time period. And it was like, the study was like, would you give up on this thing that you already, quote unquote, put time and money and effort into if a better thing was here? And most people, this is so fucked up. Most people were like, I'm going to keep the one I'm less excited about because I already spent the money on it. Even though they all agreed that the other option was better, but they had already put the money in. I may have screwed up the details of that one, but the point is,
no. I totally get it, man. I totally get it. And like, now, like looking back, like there's so many life advice that I like want to give young people, like go to community college, get like your generals for like, in California back in the day, it was $22 a unit at community college. $22. You can't, like, it's just wild. It's just wild. And like, so I think there's so many lessons that I learned and so much really cool stuff. And like art school was awesome. Art school was amazing. Like I met these amazing people that I still talk to today. And there was so much amazing opportunity. Was it 100% the right choice? Maybe not. But you're 18, and it's mind-boggling that like at 18 somebody's like, all right, pick your career path for life and that's what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
What? I'm let's just say I'm in my late 30s. We'll stick with that. And then and I still like I changed careers in the last 12 months because of the pandemic, which a lot of people have. And I've kept multiple full-time jobs, and I've changed how I do business, and I've created, there's a whole new work that didn't exist 12 months ago because of the pandemic. And I've managed to hire a lot of really young people that haven't had as much experience in film, and brought them in as my PAs to give them experiences. And one of them, this really beautiful young lady named Kayla, was one of my PAs for HBO. And she now is a production coordinator for the Oxygen Network because of that opportunity. And I love that. I love that, like spreading the love and helping her get into film and career. And like, she wanted to be an actress, she wants to be a comedian, and she can still do that. She's super young, but now she has the life experience of working on the other side and respecting what people do. So when a line producer comes up to you and is like, man, I need you to do something else or whatever, or we got to change dates, she's not mad. She's like, I got it. I totally understand. And it just warms my heart. And I wish I could do this for everybody in the planet all the time. You just got to change. You got to move. You got to embrace that terrible situation to be like, it's okay. Like, we're going to make it happen. We're going to make something fun out of this. The biggest takeaway all of my employees have said to me is, no matter what kind of stressful environment, what kind of turmoil we're facing, you can still find joy in everything and still laugh. And laughter at the end of the day is what solves all issues. Like, I truly believe laughter is the medicine for everything. Like, life's hard.
Yeah, dude, it's like the sooner people learn that you have to be comfortable with change. Like the only thing you can be sure of really is that shit is going to change. The sooner people learn that and get more comfortable with it and become more present and in the moment, everything else lines up. You become more grateful for the opportunities you have. You just stay in very present, and that usually means you're able to find the joy in whatever it is that you're doing. And that's something that I feel like you are very, you always seem very joyful about whatever you're doing. So I want to get back to your path.
You got to, like, why are you doing it if you don't love it? Like, totally. Why bother?
So then after you left, what word do you prefer here, by the way? Because some people have bagged the word quit, because I don't feel like you're a quitter, but I also feel like you're smart. So it's like, you might be like, fuck yeah, I quit.
So yeah, I mean, it's okay to quit. I think it's okay to be a quitter. Sometimes you got to quit things because some things just suck.
You quit. So you quit art school.
So I quit fashion design.
You got to quit fashion design.
I finished art school. Yeah, I went, and one of the girls that I went to school with that I was super, super close with decided to go back to school and get a BA in business. And I come from a very poor background, and I was like, what's a BA? Like, I don't come from educated people. So like college, the whole thing was kind of new to me. So I was just like, all right, well, if you're going, I'm going to go too. So I just put myself through college, and I went back to community college, and then I went to Cal State Long Beach. And then I transferred to UNCW in North Carolina, and I got married real young, and then I got divorced real young, because that seems like the fun thing to do. And
this is when you opened up a tattoo parlor, right?
Yeah, then I opened up a tattoo parlor because, art is art. And so my degree was in fashion design, and then in illustration was my undergrad, so to speak. So I knew how to do Photoshop, I knew how to do Illustrator, I knew how to do all these Adobe Suite programs at a very young age. And I was only 23, 24 at the time. And I had a friend that was looking to open a new business, and I knew a bunch of tattoo artists. And I was like, if I opened a shop, would you come work for me? And people were like, yeah. So I opened a shop with my former partner at the time, and we ran it for a few years. And then 2007 hit, and it was a recession. And it was just a struggle. It was a struggle to make bills. It was a struggle to, pay rent. It was a struggle for income. So, it was hard to sustain, but it was all right. But during that time, I was exposed to film, which I had never thought of. I was exposed to modeling and acting, and I was like, no, I'm 5'2". I'm never going to be an actress. I'm never going to be a model. That's not my thing. And a location scout for Kat Von D's first action film, and her only action film, came into my tattoo parlor, and there was these big portraits of me on the wall from like promotional ads and stuff like that. And they were like, this girl, we want this girl. And I was like, okay. So I acted in the horrible, terrible movie called The Bleeding with Kat Von D. She unfortunately gets cut out of a lot of the movie, which also includes me being cut out, which is probably for the best of both of us. It was not the best of all films, but it introduced me to the special effects world, and it introduced me to all these filmmakers. And I started working in film. And my next film was The Good Old Fashioned Orgy with Jason Sudeikis and all these people.
And this is
William
all in North Carolina.
Yeah, all in North Carolina. And it was just a fluke. It was just a fluke.
Dude, that is so incredible. Like
it's just crazy. Like, these are opportunities people in Hollywood are like fighting for, and people are literally walking into my tattoo parlor being like, this girl in this photo, can we get her to act? And I'm like, okay. Like,
and then suddenly you like, now this becomes, I know you had some personal stuff going on and you ended up moving to New York, but like this, this whole next track of your life was sparked by this, what I think many people would call a random occurrence.
Occurrence,
but
super
also,
random.
Those are the things that happen to people who, I don't want to say like they deserve it or it was inevitable, but it almost feels like these magical things happen for a reason to the people that happen to, Right. So it's like,
I think, and I hate, it's so freaking cheesy. It's so cheesy. And like 20-year-old me would slap me for this, but like, you kind of get back what you put out. And sure. There was a lot of times, like I had cancer really young. I went through a divorce really young. I lost a lot of family members due to like accidents and drug addiction and alcoholism and things like that. So there was a time in my life where I was really angry and things got really bad. And I was, doing drugs and drinking and things like that. And the more that I took responsibility for myself, the more that I projected what I wanted, helped other people, put other people first, the more that I saw that the world changed around me. And that's because I pushed away all those negative people. I pushed away all that negative energy and all, whatever you want to call it. And I really focused on doing the right things and not the easy things. I stopped looking at people at what could they help me with or what could they do for me, and more of what can I do for them, and do these people deserve that and deserve my company and what I have to offer them as a friend, a partner, or whatever it may be. And I think it took a long time for me to realize that. And it came kind of in phases because there's, good times and bad times. And, and so the older I get, the easier it is for me to do that. And I have less hard times, but nobody's, perfect. And everybody still has hard times no matter what, but it's all about how you perceive them.
I love that. So now you're in North Carolina. So you end up in New York, and this is where This is where you start to kind of go hard on the Hollywood side of things, for lack of a better word. You are in front of a camera. You're very active in different projects. I also want to say real quick, I love your residence resume. I think that like you're born in Las Vegas, which I absolutely love. You lived in Los Angeles as a youngin. Then you went to a really I know it's Wilmington, right? Is that where you were?
Yeah.
I know Wilmington is a small town.
Gyms,
but that's Wilmington's a really charming, cool, small town.
Super cute.
And then
super cute.
And then you were in New York for 10 years and now you're back to LA. It just feels like how many people look at your residence history and they're like, man, I wish I had the guts to do that. But like every time you did it, it seems like it was for a very specific, strong reason, and that you did the hell out of it when you were there. So
you got to own it, man. You just got to own your decisions.
Totally. I know a big chunk of your life and your world happened in New York, but can you distill moving to New York to pursue a creative passion like this? Can you just what was that like for you? And what advice?
It was so nerve-wracking. I'd only lived in Wilmington, North Carolina, 3 years. But during that time, I opened a business, I owned a home, I opened, like, I did all that stuff really young, like 23, 24, which is not a bad thing, but there's a lot of life experience that I was still kind of missing in, like, how to handle stress, all that kinds of stuff was still not really resonated yet. So when I had the opportunity to move to New York, I jumped on it, and I lost my business and I lost my house. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm gonna have a bad credit score. I don't even know if I knew what that meant.
No one does,
Like,
Kitty. It's all made
I
up.
was like, oh, I don't know what to do. So I just kind of like bounced and was like, fuck it. Like, I gave my house back to the bank, which I didn't know how to even do. But I just kind of like
Did they
walked in
like
and was
open a
like,
new bank in your house, or they just took it back? I don't even know how that
they
works.
yeah, I just kind of was like, I put a bunch of money into it. It's in good condition. Nobody's really selling houses because Screen Gems, which was the studio in North Carolina, which filmed Dawson's Creek, One Tree Hill, all those shows, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or something, they had all stopped filming. So the film industry was dying. So like every other house on my block was under foreclosure. And I was like, listen, I've paid every month. I dumped a bunch of money into it, but I don't want it anymore. So can you just have it? I'll give it back to you. You can just keep the money. And they were like, okay. So I just did it. I just gave it back and left. There's a legal term for it, but whatever.
We don't know it.
So yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
No
It
one
doesn't
really
matter.
knows it, Kitty.
Nobody cares. But I just kind of balanced and was like, peace out. And so I moved to New York, and there was a lot of sleepless nights. Like, am I making the right decision? Am I making the wrong decision? Like, I had friends in New York, but like they're all bartenders and like, and they just like comedians. And so they weren't the most stable of all people. So I was like, if there's an emergency, like, who the hell am I gonna call? Like, I don't know anybody. And I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to go. I'm going to give it 1 year. I'm going to give it 1 year. I found a tiny apartment on Craigslist, and I moved in. I was living in Brooklyn for a little while with like 6 dudes in like a 2-bedroom, like sleeping on the couch with somebody's feet in my face. And I was like, I can't do this. And so
New York.
yeah, Williamsburg, of course. And so I ended up moving to Hoboken, and I lived in a basement apartment. I was paying like $1,000 a month for a basement apartment with no windows. And I was like, this is going to be okay. I'm going to give it 1 year. And within that first year, things just took off. Like, I filmed, I think in the first 2 years altogether, I filmed like 12 reality shows or something crazy. I did like 12 different music videos. I got an offer to tour with Metallica. So within the first 4 years, I did 2 tours with Metallica as
What
a
were you
model
doing on
for
tour
Kirk
with
Hammett.
them?
I modeled for Kirk Hammett, who's also really short, so I make him look tall. Uh, and then we did Orion Festival, which is like a 3-day or 4-day festival in 2012, 2013. And I worked for Kurt Hammett doing like tours of his movie collection. He has an entire horror movie memorabilia collection that's one of the largest in the world. So I got to do tours of some of like his estate information and like all the stuff. And I got to meet these amazing people and like get drunk with the singer of Sepultura and just like crazy stuff that I was like, this isn't real. This is not real. And it was just amazing. Like, and so I did Food Network shows, Comedy Central shows. I started doing stand-up within the next few years after that. I wasn't really good, but I tried.
So I've totally can try. Yeah. Shout out to all the people, a lot of people, are in that universe, and then they're like, it's so easy, on paper, it's so easy to like sign up to do a stand-up show or to go do an improv
open
jam.
mics, forget it.
And then it's
so
like,
you're like, here's $5.
You do it, and it's like, this is actually a lot harder than I thought it was.
It's so hard. It's so hard.
But props to you for trying all those things. Something else I want to dive in with you is like, you do so much like in front of the camera. You're very like have a very strong presence. You're like you've done all these things, but then you're also like super not afraid to be like, yeah, I work behind the camera now. Like I'm not in front of the camera.
I actually prefer it at this point. I'm not against getting in front of the camera now, but I think when I was younger, there was a form of validation. like you didn't really work in film unless someone recognized you. And
Sure.
that is kind of how I felt. And that doesn't make it right. But it was like I used to go to Comic-Con and people would stop and take photos with me because they recognized me from something. People would recognize me on the streets. I was doing like Sirius XM shows with like Michael Shea and,
That's
Jim
very
Norton.
validating.
And
It feels very
yeah,
good.
and it's like being invited to those shows to be like, I did a show with Gilbert Godfrey and Lisa Ann once, and I was like, why am I here? Like, no one knows who I am. But it was amazing, like these amazing opportunities. And I got to like even do a fill-in once for a substantial comedy show on Sirius XM. And I just remember like being like, that was validation. And then I created a show that I also started and directed and edited and like all this stuff for Funny or Die. And
The drunken yoga show, right?
Yeah, drunken yoga show. And I went and did a lot of like shopping to different networks, Adult Swim. I flew out to LA, had meetings with Adult Swim, all this stuff, and it never really went anywhere. And then I wrote and created several other shows. We even filmed some pilots, and it was really kind of crushing when those shows didn't take off. And I remember being like, okay, I'm just done with the film industry. And I took like a break and I took a step back and was like, I can't do both. I can't be in front of the camera and behind the camera at the same time. It's too stressful. And right around the same time, like The Hangover 2 had really kind of hurt people with tattoos in the industry. I wasn't getting as much work.
Why is that?
So The Hangover 2, the situation with that is during The Hangover 2, the tribal tattoo that Mike Tyson has on his face.
Right.
They duplicate that onto what's his name? Ed Helms? Is that his name? They duplicate that same tattoo on his face. And the tattoo artist who did Mike Tyson's tattoo and Mike Tyson sued Warner Brothers. And then they ended up settling out of court for copyright infringement for some substantial amount of money. But it set a precedent that there is the opportunity to be sued for copyright infringement if you don't have the individual and the artist sign off to show their tattoos on film. And is that right? Is that wrong? No, it never went to court. So there was never like a hard case that's like the rule. It was just kind of like, well, now we've been opened up to possibly be sued. So it's always, it's been, a lot of companies were really, really gun shy about doing that. So one of the last projects I ever did in New York before the pandemic was a McDonald's ad. I did a McDonald's commercial for French Fry Friday or whatever, like National French Fry Day. And around the world, there was these giant posters and videos and GIFs, and Times Square played them and all this stuff of my hand coming down and picking up a French fry and pulling it out. Not a big deal. I had to have my tattoo artist sign like 37-page documents of releases. And he was like, what the, he's a nice guy, but he doesn't have like a law degree.
Right.
It's just like, what the hell am I
That's
signing?
Scary.
Like,
it's scary.
It was insane. Yeah. And a lot of people were like, I'm not signing that. Like a lot of, there was a lot of concern about like, how much are you giving away your rights? So I lost a lot of work. There was a period of time where I didn't do a lot of work in front of the camera, even if I wanted to, because of that types of stuff, which is fine. And it gave me the opportunity to go back and study like comedy sketch writing at UCB and like improv and I've never done any plays or anything like that as a kid. Like that just wasn't what I did. So it gave me the opportunity to kind of learn more about that and embrace those sides of things, which has really helped later in life.
So like, no matter what has happened, like you get like knocked down and you're like, okay, now I'm going to learn more. I'm going to do a different thing and dive into learning it. That is just like, that's just some of the most killer advice, is to keep going. Like so much of this industry, especially, I mean, the entertainment industry, but even if you niche down and go into the comedy world, which is where my area of expertise is, like so much of it is about just like hanging on. It's like you're like holding on to something, you get pushed over, you have one hand on it, they knock your hand off, like you hold it with your teeth, they punch your teeth out, you're like
Right.
wrapping your gums
Right.
around it. It's like, that's so much of what it's about. And it's like, how long can you hang on, and what are you willing to sacrifice while you're hanging on for that? And so to be
Right.
able to stick around and to have so many different skills, I think is such an admirable thing. And big shout outs to everyone out there who is that way. And you are
100%.
you're one of my go-to examples for that. I've just having so many different skills and so much experience. And speaking of which, we met because it feels so. Okay, I have a moment of vulnerability with you real quick, because I almost feel bad saying how we met, because you were a stand-in for a show that I was like starring in.
Yeah, no. And
But what I've
your
learned
show
about
had
you,
so much amazing, I remember, I've been on a lot of sets in my life. And when I walked into your set, and I don't know whatever happened with that footage, but I am dying to see it. But the stage was like a
it was so
giant
good.
penis, and it just had lights all over it. And I just remember walking in and being like, "This is my jam,
Dude." But I was so just to go back to me feeling I used to think wow, this person, this woman, Kitty Crystal, is like a stand-in on the show, as if that were less important or less cool. But then it was I learned more about you, and it's like, wait, why is this person a stand-in with your skill set? And then as I got to know you more, it was like, you were just down to be a part of anything, and you don't really care if it's quote unquote less cool, or if it will, again, quote
it
unquote.
also pays well. I don't know if people know that, but stand-ins get paid fairly well.
Oh, for sure. I know. That's a very good point. The stand-ins get paid well. But
yeah, and I want to say, I knew one of your line producers, and they called me and we were like, "Yo, can you just come down and do this weird ass thing?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm totally down." That's most of my work, is just people calling me and being like, "Can you do something weird?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds great. Let's just do that." I love weird shit.
I love that for you.
My
I love that
family
about
is
you.
so weird. I come from a long line of bad comedians. My mom's Dawn Rickles, and Joan Rivers had a baby that looked like Roseanne Barr. That's where I come from. So I'm always down with some weird ass shit anytime. My family's also supportive of it. But I just remember walking into your set and being like, "This is the tits."
Yeah,
but I also met Christian there as well, and I talked to Christian today, which is so random. McDeath Bear. We that's how I met him, and he's the coolest freaking dude. So it was I regret nothing. I regret nothing about it. I have no qualms about being a stand-in or a background extra or any of that, because I've met awesome people and done cool stuff because of it. And it's just great. I loved being a stand-in. Are you kidding me? I was a stand-in on John Wick, for God's sakes.
That's
you
so
don't
cool.
see me, I don't care. I got paid a shit ton of money to stand there and have them adjust lighting and hang out with Keanu Reeves. Whatever.
I love that. You are so just big time flexible and open-minded and so joyful. Kitty, I have a segment on the podcast called 3.5 Questions. People know about the rule of threes in comedy, but I think it's the rule of at least three. I think you could go at least 3 times whenever you're doing a comedy bit or whatever. So I have a segment called 3.5 Questions. I don't want you to overthink these, but 3.5 questions for you. You ready to go, Kitty?
I'm ready.
She's ready.
I'm ready.
All right.
We're ready.
Okay. The first question, this is food fight. Okay.
Okay.
What food would you get into a fist fight over?
Oh my God, pizza. If somebody takes the last slice of pizza without fucking offering it, I will literally punch someone in the face.
Without even offering it? What if it was theirs?
If they don't offer, I perfect example. I got really expensive pizza at my mom's house, and she took the last slice and then started feeding it to the dog. Dog! I paid for it. I was like, "Yo, you didn't even offer that to me? I'll punch you straight in the titty." What are you doing? You can't just do that. No, I will fight you. I will fight you over the last slice. You at least got to offer. You can't just like take it and be like, fine. No, that's not okay.
I dig it. Question number 2. This is the road trip question. Okay.
All right.
Who is on your fantasy road trip and where you're going? So here's how I want you to think about this. It can be in whatever vehicle you want. You don't have to use every single seat, but I want to know who is in this fantasy road trip and where are you going?
Oh my God. Who is on my fantasy road trip? So I've always wanted to, like, I just actually moved. When I moved, I literally got in my car with my dog and we drove across the entire country, just us, like sleeping in our car because it's a fucking pandemic and that's why not. And it was dope. And I've always wanted to like go all the way up to like Alaska, and I want to do it in one of those vans that has like a full house in it because that's dope. Like Madland. I was so jealous of that movie. Who's in it? I'm gonna have to go with a musician that isn't annoying. So I don't know who that would be.
Okay, we have a musician. You'll put up a Craigslist.
We have to have a musician.
Okay.
We have to have somebody that can cook, but like who has the skill to be able to cook like weird ass stuff from like Top Ramen and make like a gourmet meal out of it.
Okay.
And then you have to have somebody else who's a good driver, because there's always like that one person who's like, I can't drive. And you're like, you're worthless. What are you doing here? And
Okay, so you want like,
I need a driver, musician, and a chef.
so like
but
Dave,
like they've got to be like
Dave Grohl, David Chang, and Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Oh my God. Yes. Oh,
Okay.
actually, it's got to be Kyle Busch because he's from Vegas and he went
Okay.
to my rivalry high school. So that's the only other
Maybe
name
you guys
kind of
can,
person I know.
maybe you guys can make amends, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be great.
Question number 3, Kitty Crystal. This is the advice anthem. I want you to give me one simple sentence, one piece of advice for someone who wants to do what you've done in your life. Now make it quick and simple because there's a second part to this question. One simple sentence.
Don't give up.
Cool. Okay. Now I need you to sing it.
Don't give up. I'm a terrible singer.
Oh, that was good. You were just getting started.
Unfortunate. So sorry, everybody. That's as good as it gets. I clearly am not a singer.
No, well, the confidence, you know, you just knew when to quit. As with everything else, you just knew when to quit. You knew when you were peaking.
It's okay to be a quitter. It's okay to be a quitter. Like I was a tattoo artist for like 3 days and was like, I'm not good at this. Like, you know, you just gotta know what your strengths and weaknesses are, and that's okay. You know, you just gotta,
I love it.
You gotta roll with it.
Okay, question 3.5, going back to the places where you've lived. We've got Las Vegas, New York, Los Angeles, and Wilmington. Name the 4 capitals of those places without thinking. Go.
Ew, no.
She said ew.
I got nothing.
No.
Oh, no.
She said
Las
ew.
Vegas High School. I went to Las Vegas Public High School. I can't do geometry. I can't do math. I can count cards, and that's about it. That is literally like, I got nothing. Like I went to a high school that had so many kids, like they sat on top of bookshelves. Like, yo,
dude, you said ew. You said ew. That is so funny. Okay, for the last thing we're gonna do here, Kitty. So every guest on the show, I teach them a little bit of improv. Now, some people have no improv background at all. Some have some comedic backgrounds, like you, right? So this may be old news for you, but I'm going to teach you an improv exercise real quick for the listeners. And this is my specialty, right? So this is an exercise I do called Happy Birthday. The way it works is we're going to keep giving each other birthday presents, but each one will heighten from the last one, but it will also like respect a pattern. Okay. So for example, I'll give you a very easy example. If I were to say, happy birthday, Kitty, here's a cookie. You might say, oh, happy birthday, Chris. Here's a tray of brownies. So it's like, we're keeping in desserts, but it's getting bigger. Then I might say, oh, happy birthday, Kitty. I got you an entire bakery. So it's like, okay, the sweets are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Does that make sense?
Wow. Yeah.
So we're gonna keep in the pattern and just go back and forth, keep giving each other birthday presents until I say to stop. Sound good?
Awesome.
All right. I'll give you the first one and we'll go from there. Okay. So happy birthday, Kitty. I got you a I got you one taco.
Oh my God, I love tacos. Thank you. I got you a plate of enchiladas. Happy
Oh,
birthday, Chris.
thank you so much, Kitty. I got you a truck full of avocados.
Oh my gosh, avocados are my favorite. Thanks, Chris. I bought you an entire avocado farm. I hope you don't mind.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, Kitty, I actually, for your birthday, I got you, I bought the copyright to margaritas for you. So you own the copyright to margaritas.
Margaritas, that's amazing. I actually got you an entire margarita farm, which is a Jimmy Buffett song, and I got you the entire catalog just for you.
Holy moly. That's very thoughtful. Thank you so much. Happy birthday, Kitty Crystal. I bought you Mexico. I bought you the entire country of Mexico. It's yours to rule over or govern or be the mayor of or whatever you want to do there.
What? That's amazing. I love Mexico. I decided to buy you the entire continent of North America. Is that right? Is that a continent? I'm not quite sure. We're going to go with it anyway. It doesn't matter.
Ew. All right. See, we're good. Katie Crystal, thank you so much for hanging out on the podcast. It was such a pleasure to learn more about you and to hear you share your story. And I really hope people listening are, well, I know they will be inspired by how much you just keep getting up and not only getting up, but like getting up. You get up in a way that you're like are never knocked down, but you like fucking get up for stuff too.
I mean, sometimes you get knocked down and then you get up again and then you sing bad songs from the 90s. But either way, you have to just embrace it, man. Life's crazy, life's hard. Sometimes things are bad, sometimes things are good, but you just got to keep trying and everything works out at the end, no matter what. And so you meet amazing people just like you. And I'm so appreciative of you and all the things that you do. And you always bring a smile to my face. So thank you so much for being a friend and for being an inspiration and being so funny. I don't know if you do that intentionally, but either way, I love it. And I appreciate you. Thank you so much, darling.
Thank you so much, Katie Crystal. Links to all of her stuff will be in the show notes. Follow her, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, Annie.